Welcome to episode 2 of the Bohemian. Now just kick the microphone stand. Welcome to episode 2 of Bohemian Grounds podcast. It's a very special episode tonight.
You kicked the microphone stand?
I kicked it. I kicked the microphone stand. Who are you? This is Jim Townsend.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. My name's Marcus, and our special guest tonight is a young lady who has just now became legal enough for this podcast, which sounds 80% more dirty than what it is. Makenna Hope.
Sup.
What are you doing, Makenna?
In a rolly chair?
You're in a rolly chair.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this your first time at the Bohemian Grounds?
Well, I've been on the property before, but you didn't know I was here.
Oh,
So that's where our stuff went.
that's why we're missing. That's why we're missing thousands of dollars of equipment, and that's why we need you, the Patreon subscriber. How's that for a segue?
This is bad optics.
Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe and do all those things you have to do that annoying podcast hosts such as myself ask you to do. Also, we do have a Patreon, and you can check that out at patreon.com/Bohemian Grounds. 3 tiers, James. Did you know there were 3 tiers of Bohemian Grounds subscribey stuff?
I know that a man can shed 3 tears.
Okay, yeah. Well, tier number 1 is the fan, for all you fans out there. Tier number 2, the executive producer. You want to be an executive producer on any of our albums, you can go for that tier. And then tier number 3 is, you ready for it? The band. So if you got a band and you need you want to bank some studio time and get some deep discounts here at Bohemian Grounds Studio, check that box. And that's all the selling I will do today.
It was good selling.
Yeah, thank you.
It was very good.
I do appreciate that. Makenna, what are you up to now? You just had a birthday.
Yes.
You're going to graduate this year.
Hopefully.
From high school. What's next?
Music stuff.
Music?
I'm recording with you, so.
You sure are.
Yeah.
She's going to be recording here soon at Bohemian Grounds. We were actually doing some arranging tonight. A couple of your tunes, a couple of new tunes. Want to talk about those songs at all?
Sure. Which one do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about Whiskey.
Okay. Whiskey's a fun ditty. I was told to write a love song, decided to kill off my husband instead.
I didn't know you were married.
No, not legally.
But she's not anymore.
Well, I guess she's a widow.
If the police ask, I was never married.
You don't really meet too many 18-year-old widows anymore.
No, you don't.
Not since the Civil War. So, James, you've done some songwriting with Makenna. Like,
I have.
What's this process like as you all create new tunes?
Oh, man.
He normally comes up with like the guitar stuff because, as we have already learned, I suck at that. And then I throw in a few words here and there and say I wrote the song.
Yeah, I think most times we start with a concept or an idea. Like we want a song about this or this topic or this circumstance, and kind of throw some chords around it and play around with some lyrics and see what we can co-write. There have been a couple times, like with Grandma's Letters, I had written the chords and the lyrics and then kind of let her find the melody for them and just kind of make up her own melody and how she's going to sing it. But then also, Makenna, you've been writing a lot of your own originals too. There have been about 3 recently.
Yeah.
That you've written. What's your process been like for that? When you sit down to write a song, what do you?
Well, to be honest, the past 2 were only inspired because of crappy relationships.
Well, welcome to the music world.
That's where a lot of it comes from. Yeah.
Hey, Taylor Swift got famous off it. Why can't I?
That's right. You know, Taylor Swift has never been on the Bohemian Grounds podcast.
She's never had the pleasure.
Now, does she write her own music? Does she write her own songs?
I've heard she does.
Cool.
You don't get in this debate with me, James.
I don't know.
Is there a point of contention here?
I don't know. I truly have no idea. I just want to know if she wrote her songs or.
I always thought she did. That was her
Yeah, I think she at least did when she was like first starting, because I know a lot of those were all based off of terrible relationships. Just like the one I'm recording with you, Marcus.
Do we have a terrible relationship?
Yeah, been there, done. No.
Oh.
You know, I was so prepared to have a classy response to that question.
Well, we're not going to let that happen.
No.
We're not going to let that happen. As you were saying, James, about this process.
Well, you say, okay, so you say the last couple have come from crappy relationships. Do you sit down and say, I'm just going to write a tune about a crappy relationship, or do you get an idea or a turn of phrase that you want to work a song around?
For some reason, normally songwriting for me is weird. I don't do it like everybody else does. Like normally people get like a phrase in their head and they're like, this is great. I've done that like once. Normally I'm just like, I'm so mad at this. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to try to get a song out of this. And I just let the angry words flow in it.
So do you just kind of start playing chords and see what words come?
Yeah, normally that's what I do. Same 4 chords every time.
Yeah, we're going to work on that. That's another thing about songwriting is we all have our comfort zones of, I tend to work in a C chord shape. So a lot of my songs revolve around that C, F, G, A minor, whether it's up on a capo, in a different key. And I try to break out of that sometimes because I'll notice myself jumping right into that comfort zone of like these typical chords are where I start. This is kind of where I hang out. So I'll pick some different chords sometimes intentionally to work around. Yeah,
mine are normally E minor, C, G, D in the same order every time.
Well, that key, that key there is one of the first keys people learn when they start playing an instrument. Mm-hmm. So it's probably easy just to fall there. I come from the drums.
What is there was a song you wrote recently that I think was outside of that pattern. These Walls? No,
you're thinking of the one I started writing and then didn't finish.
Because it was outside your comfort zone.
No, I could not come up with words past the chorus because I got like the first and second, like the first verse and the chorus done. And then after that, I was like, I'm so done. I can't do this.
Well, what's the one we kind of co-wrote on? I kind of gave you some ideas for a second verse.
These empty walls.
Okay. One. Did you finish that? Or?
Yeah, I finished it. I've sang it for you like 6 times at open mics, James.
I don't listen really.
What?
So, I mean, that was outside of your typical chord
it was. It wasn't the way I normally do it, yeah.
Cool.
So you're talking about recording a new album. How many songs you got?
For this one, around 4, I think.
4, okay.
For at least. I have a lot of new songs that I have.
Doing the EP.
I have requests for people, like, you need to do this song, you need to do this song. I haven't narrowed all of them down yet.
I'm glad she didn't say 40.
No. I don't even think I have 40 songs.
40. Oh. Well, here's the interesting thing. This is something that me and James banter about a lot. Is the full album dead? Something 12 to 16 songs and
released all at once. It's kind of a hangover from a vinyl record or a CD or a cassette tape. Now that everything is digitally streaming, I see a lot of folks releasing singles.
Yeah.
And one song at a time, more frequently.
See, that one I don't like doing. Because, like, here's the thing. If I get on my phone, I want to just hit play and, like, it play all the songs. Yeah, I don't want to have to be like, okay, I'm going to go listen to this single now. It's annoying.
I hear you. Like, I miss albums.
Me too.
I don't know what to do about it. So here's the problem nowadays. It's hard to sell units unless they're vinyl. It's also hard to make any money in streaming.
Yeah.
And it's really expensive to release vinyl.
Yeah.
And nobody buys CDs at gigs anymore, hardly.
Right.
Old people do. They don't understand how to use their phones yet.
Well, thank you, old people.
I still maintain the quality you get from a CD is better than a digital stream.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, it really is better.
I'm from, when I was growing up, it was cassette tapes and CDs. And I think that just structured me to be more of an album listener. So, when I get in the car and I put in a CD, I have to start at track 1 and I listen all the way through. I can't skip. I want to listen to it as a complete concept. What were they doing with this album? What were they thinking from beginning to end? How they ordered the songs, the pace, everything like that. My cousin, we would ride around and he would get a new CD and he would put it in the car and he would immediately just go to track 5 and then he would skip around to 12 and then go back to 2, and it drove me crazy. So I find myself still doing that when listening to digital.
I'm a lot like your cousin. I'm like, I'm not feeling this song. And I skipped to like 8.
Oh, I can't do that.
Which is something we couldn't do with cassettes. And like
Right.
I was coming
And
from
maybe
cassettes.
that's why I'm like that.
Yeah. Well, before we had CDs and CD burning and all that, and then digital streaming after that, we had dual cassette decks and we would create mixtapes.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent lots of hours creating my own mixtapes. And
See, I did that on like CDs.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do it on mixtapes. Like I'd get on the computer because they didn't have all the songs I wanted, and I just put a huge mix on my CD. It was a lot easier back then.
So you just got a record player, didn't you?
I did.
Yes.
Getting into vinyl.
You
I
hooked it
have
up?
to get another one.
What happened?
There's no weight regulator on it. And so all of the like newer records, it bounces.
Wait, on the one you just got for your
Yep.
birthday?
Yeah. We checked. There's no weight regulator on it. And so like I put on like the Arctic Monkeys album, like record that I got so excited for. And it was like, done, done, done. Just kept repeating the word. And I'm like, dang it. Rebecca's like, yeah, there's no weight regulator on that. So we're going to have to get you another one.
I love your voices. I really do. I've heard them before, but I'm hearing
We
them.
need to create a Rebecca cartoon just for that phrase.
I mean, yeah.
Cut to her
And the funny
just...
thing is Rebecca sounds nowhere near that.
It's okay. We got a good name, Rebecca, and a good voice for her now. So. I mean, I can't do girl voices. I sound, well, silly.
Well, I'm a female, so I can do.
You sure are.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I discovered a lot of my influences was through people giving me mixtapes. And I would wear those things out. Who would you say some of your songwriting and music influences are?
I'd say like the Chicks and Dolly Parton, all of them. See, I say that, but I sound nothing like them when I write. But like they're what I normally like look at as my inspirations.
Well, one of my biggest inspirations is a guy named Duncan Sheik. He had one famous song in the 90s, but I think every one of his albums is a masterpiece, and I don't sound anything like him. It's weird how our inspirations oftentimes are nothing like what the sound that we put out.
Yeah, like I'm like, yeah, Reba's my inspiration. And then all my songs are like nowhere near that.
Do you think there's a difference between inspiration that you can put a finger on, like Duck and Cheek for you, and then there's also that influence of the backdrop of your life, whatever was playing?
Oh yeah.
I find that where I came up around a lot of church music, a lot of my musical tendencies are kind of rooted in Southern gospel sometimes.
Even though you wouldn't consciously.
Yeah, I wouldn't consciously do it, but
yeah.
you put a bass guitar in my hand and I start playing country and Southern gospel.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to. I don't necessarily, hang around and listen to those genres of music, but it's just one of those backdrop things that have also influenced you.
Maybe there's a difference between what inspires us in terms of what, our soul feeds on, for inspiration, and then where we actually get our experience and everything when it comes to playing,
So 4 songs coming up. Do you want to tell us what they are, or are they a big secret?
I really could care less if they're a secret. Well, there's Night I Shot the Whiskey.
Nice.
Which we already spoke about. Then there's then we have Been There Done That, which I wrote about my ex refusing to leave me alone. It's probably one of my favorites just because it's against him.
I still think you ought to call it I Won't Climb His Mountain.
No, I'm not gonna name that. There's
It just
children
ties
that
it in
listen to
with
my
the
music.
chorus.
Did you see her face change color? It went red. That's. Whoa! Look at that. Oh.
Same thing happened to me in the Mexican restaurant yesterday.
What happened in the Mexican restaurant? You weren't there, were you? Well, we were.
It sounded completely wrong.
Do we have to cut that part? Or
keep the snort.
Or leave it. Leave it.
Context, they sang happy birthday to me and my face turned bright red.
Oh, okay. So what are the other two songs?
I love when we make the guests lose it.
Okay.
Coughing up that COVID lung.
Oh my God, I haven't gotten rid of it. It's still in there. It's a part of me now. And then I believe we're doing Close the Blinds, which is a song I wrote.
I've heard that song.
Talk about inspiration. That one you got from watching
I
The Conjuring.
did. I actually got that from something.
The Conjuring.
The Conjuring, yes.
The movie?
Yeah, I was watching The Conjuring, and the one scene where it's like right before the mom's possessed and tries to kill her children, she screamed.
Wonderful movie. Wonderful movie.
The dad goes, lock the door and close. Why did I make him sound like a fiend? The dad goes, lock the door and close the blinds. Pretty much, I was like, you know what? That'd be a pretty good song. So I sat down. I wrote the first verse and the chorus by myself. And then Aaron McDermott and Andrew Atkins helped me write the rest.
And what's song number 4?
That one is Empty Walls, I believe.
Cool. That's the one we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty good EP.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with it.
Oh, we're excited to get this out soon. And, well, I should say we're excited to start recording it.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so we talked in the first podcast about why we started Bohemian Grounds and what we're trying to do here. What's your take, Makenna, on the scene in St. Albans and surrounding areas, Charleston, Huntington? What do you think about the scene here, the music scene?
It needs work.
Well, pull no punches.
Yeah.
I'm just.
Now,
Okay, here's
how
the
do
thing.
you really feel?
Here's the thing. A lot of it, like, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm on the scene as much as I'd like to be. But a lot of it's like, I don't know. Like, we've had situations with you, Marcus, where just the setup was not great.
Right.
It's very angering for you.
Yeah. I do. For listeners, I do not care for the lack of a sound system. If you invite any of the acts I'll play in to come, the drummer needs a monitor.
Yeah, and it's
Or
just
a
like
sound system.
Or a sound system.
Yeah, I
period.
hate the amount of shows that you, one, don't get paid for, or two, have to bring a full sound system. It's really hard to supply a full sound system for a band. Like, if you're driving somewhere, you don't want to have to pack all that in a car.
Well, oftentimes it's also
you can't.
it's both at the same time. It's no pay and bring your own sound system.
Yeah, so then you got the gas, you've got the equipment, and you've got the fact that you're not getting paid. And it's kind of like you're losing money half the time. Like,
Yeah. They used to have a music union that would supposed to fix that sort of thing, but no one joins it anymore. Yeah, the whole thing, there's a little bit of laziness there, but it also probably comes from the band also not bringing enough people in.
True.
Yeah.
It's not wanting to. So it's a
It's a give and
catch-22
take.
problem.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're the venue, you're not going to pay someone a ton of money to come in just for the regulars that they don't bring a crowd. They don't bring fans or their own audience, But it's hard for groups to build an audience when there are no venues to play. It's just a vicious catch-22.
Yeah. I think anymore, people used to just go out to see music, just to see what was new. And now you have to kind of already be a fan. So
Right.
YouTube has become, I think, replaced the small gig, but also at the same time, everybody's got access to it. So it's harder to gain that audience there. So it's tough. I mean, and hopefully part of what Bohemian Grounds can accomplish is establishing, hopefully, some kind of a network.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
yeah.
So, we want this place to be available to help people get started. One thing that you can do is join up with someone who is already established in the scene and go open for them. That kind of, those kind of things. But how do you know who's available? How do you get connected with these folks? That would be.
And also there's the thing of a lot of places don't want to book people from that area.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to book from out of town. But like, it's just, there's so many places in St. Albans that book music and they're all like, no, we're just going to book from out of town.
Yeah.
And I have a whole message list in my phone of like people I've messaged and not heard back from. It's like, it's a lot of them.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to do it. I couldn't imagine having to. I'm glad I get to just play the drums. I don't have to deal with this part of it. But it's very tough. Audience building these days.
Well, and that's one of the long distance dreams of Bohemian Grounds too. Is to provide a venue where we can have some ticketed events and book a lot of folks and give a lot of folks a place to play and to have people come and hear them.
Host some paid couch concerts
Yep.
so artists can get some money and then get paid for their time. And, so here's the cool thing. I don't know if you know this, Makenna. You were the very first Bohemian Grounds couch concert.
Huh.
Last Friday night on your birthday.
I feel so special.
Saturday night.
Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday night. Well, this has been a really good time. Makenna, thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and for all of our listeners out there, go check out our Patreon, and we're going to be rolling out some other items very soon. Our podcast feed across all of the expected places, all the platforms. And so we're rolling this thing out. So get in early and help us. Platforms.
It's a weird word.
Woody. Sausage.
It's very tinny.
Tinny.